All right. Obviously very pleased getting the win in Columbia on Saturday. I've been down there a bunch, and that's not an easy task. So really pleased with the way our guys played. I felt like they were ready mentally for what they were going into, and also physically. I'm really proud of how our guys, we got up 14-0, and that's been a big challenge for our guys, really, is to keep the pedal down and to not kind of have that lapse in the game like maybe we've had in a few games, in the middle part of the season. I felt like our guys did a good job of really pressing through and keeping pressure on their defense and moving the ball. I thought we did a really good job on third down and in the red zone, and then threw and caught the ball well. So I feel like we've got some good momentum here going into the championship game. Also had some good explosive plays. And so for us, that was a huge goal, accomplishing our third goal, winning the state championship. And now when the guys come back today, we'll have a few corrections off of that. And then all our focus will be on our fourth goal, which is to win the ACC. Doesn't take very long when you turn on the Miami's tape and start watching that to see how talented they are on defense. Very aggressive, very athletic. Will definitely be one of the top defenses that we face this year. They also have a lot of depth. That's really impressive. They play a lot of guys. I think they play 9 guys on the defensive line, and not a big drop off there. Have a lot of respect for Manny Diaz, their defensive coordinator. He does an excellent job. Does not have a lot of tendencies, and he does a really good job of mixing things up and keeping offenses off balance, and really kind of has a game plan specific for the team they're playing that week. They're number 1 in the country in turnover margin, so that'll continue to be a big factor for us as we go. And then they're also number 1 in the country in sacks, number 2 in the country in tackles for loss, and number 15th in the country in scoring defense, only giving up 18 points a game. So it'll be a big challenge for us offensively. Should be a great game. I know our guys are excited, looking forward to the challenge, and ready to go play on Saturday night. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Their defense has been so good at creating turnovers. Everybody knows about the turnover chain. Is there anything you can do, and how they've been creating? Is another team's mistake? Are they good at stripping?
Yeah, I went and watched all of their turnovers last night. There was a good number of them, and really the majority of them they caused. There was maybe 1 or 2 where the quarterback dropped the snap or something like that, but 90% of them, Miami did a great job of causing the turnover. They do a good job of tackling the ball as they're tackling the ball carrier, being very specific with their hands, trying to knock the ball out. And then, I think the interceptions are a combination of their scheme, being unpredictable in their scheme. They got guys roaming around, a little bit unorthodox in some of their coverages that have created some issues for the quarterbacks that they've faced. And then also just some great plays by their guys in the secondary. I mean, they cover some ground. They remind me a lot of our guys that we go against every day. That's really, whenever I watch their defense, I see our defense out there. A lot of similarities at each position. So it'll definitely, for us, it'll, we really talk about turnovers every week and the importance of that. And we talked about that going into the game against South Carolina this past week. That was something that I talked to the offense about, going into the South Carolina game. That was going to be our 4th road game against a top 25 opponent. And in our previous 3 games on the road versus top 25 opponents, we only had 1 turnover, which was really impressive, and I think a big reason why we had the success that we'd had on the road. So our guys know, we have a philosophy that if we protect the ball, we win. That's just a mindset that our guys have. Regardless of anything else in the game, if we don't turn the ball over, we win. That's kind of been one of the things that we live by and part of our process of winning. And our guys have bought into that, and we've done a good job with it at times. And then there's other times where the ball's gotten away from us. So it'll be a focus every day in practice like it's been, but outside of that, the guys got to go out there and play and hopefully do a good job protecting the ball.
How big was it that they were so concentrating on stopping Kelly's legs, and for him to just win the game with his arm, it kind of his confidence, help his confidence going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kelly's done a good job. I think he's completing 66.5%, something on the year. I think Deshaun finished the year at 67. So, I mean, he's doing a really good job. I think for the biggest thing for us is completing a few of those deep balls, you know, and like the 2 balls that he hit with T. Higgins, you know, those were nice plays. The one on their sideline was a nice play. And, you know, for us offensively, you know, part of our success is the balance and really making defenses have to make a choice whether they want to stop the run or stop the pass. And usually it's a, you know, it's a cat and mouse game back and forth throughout the game. They're trying to decide when you're throwing it, when you're running it, and we're trying to do the opposite. But, man, you know, I think Kelly does a great job of managing the game, managing the situation, managing our offense. You know, it may look a little bit different than, you know, Deshaun in the past, but, you know, for the most part, he's protecting the football, and he's making good decisions. You know, as coaches, we know where the ball's supposed to be delivered, and, you know, he continues to do a really good job of making the right decisions. You know, the one interception, their corner made a great play, you know, and T didn't have the best release. He could have done a little bit better job over there in the boundary. But outside of that, you know, I think, you know, he's had 2 turnovers now in those 4 big road games. So, you know, you know, I think for all of us, the wide receivers, the quarterbacks, the tight ends, you know, offensively, we play at our best when we can throw and catch, and when we do have that balance. And I feel like, to be honest, that we're just starting to hit our stride right here at the right time.
Jeff, when you talk about the imperative of not turning the ball over, how do you strike a balance in dealing with the skill position players of, you know, we don't need you giving up the ball, but keeping them from becoming timid as a result of that being in their minds?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is that we're consistent with it. You know, if we didn't talk about ball security all year long and then we got to this game and made a real big deal about it, you know, that's not what you want to do. But, you know, the biggest thing is we show guys examples. You know, I think the end of the NC State Wake Forest game, you know, the receiver was going in for an easy touchdown and reached the ball over when he didn't have to, and Wake Forest knocks the ball out. And so that's a teachable moment. And, you know, if you can learn from other people's mistakes, and then hopefully it'll help you prevent some. So we look for that. I know on Tuesdays, Tuesday for us, each day has a special theme. Tuesday for us is Tanoga Tuesday, which is takeaway and no giveaway. And so at the very beginning of our team meeting every Tuesday, you know, Coach Sweeney has a video put together, you know, for our defense of any turnovers that they caused in the last game, and then also other turnovers, maybe in some of the NFL games or the opponent we're getting ready to play. And then they can turn around and also show a bunch of pictures of great ball security. So just trying to get those guys to get a visual picture of that, and you know, and coaching it. Really, that's what we do. We coach it, coming back correct. You know, watching this game, there were a couple of times, you know, T. Higgins had the ball out on that sideline, you know, trying to make a play, and the ball got away from him. You know, so that's a coachable moment for him and for all those guys to be able to see that. And then also from practice. I mean, we grade every play in practice. You know, we call it BIJ, which is a ball in jeopardy. So we'll chart those in practice and in games, and really, you know, kind of keep that attention, you know, right in the forefront of our guys. And I think they really believe, seeing what we've done in the past, that if we protect the ball, that we're, you know, can be difficult to beat.
Coach, how advantageous is it to face a team that you haven't seen in a while, as opposed to, say, a Virginia Tech? I imagine it's hard to simulate your offense in practice.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that was a question that kind of came up earlier in the year, kind of looking ahead, thinking, do you want to play Virginia Tech or Miami? And, you know, I don't know which one's advantageous. I think for us as coaches, and I know as players, I think they're excited about playing a new team. And, you know, it seems like the last couple of years, even in the bowl games, we've kind of gotten had a lot of repeat games. So, you know, Miami obviously has had a great season. You know, I got a lot of respect for Coach Mark Richt. You know, his wife used to babysit me back in the day whenever we were in Tallahassee during the early years. And, you know, he's a lot like Coach Sweeney. He does it the right way, and a guy that I look up to in the coaching profession. You know, and what Miami has done this year, you know, we've kept up with that all year long. And I think our guys are excited to get out there and go play against them. They know it's going to be a big challenge. They got, they're having an outstanding season. They got a lot of great players. So, I think, to be honest, our guys are probably more excited to get to play somebody different. But at the end of the day, you got an opportunity to win an ACC championship, and it really doesn't matter who you play. Our formula is it's all about us. It's about how we play and not who we play.
Were you well behaved when she was babysitting?
As far as I know, I was well behaved.
Jeff, you guys obviously use a lot of different receivers, but with the confidence it seems like T suddenly has, this kind of emergence with his size, speed, and skill set, what does he kind of mean for you guys moving forward?
Yeah, T has definitely emerged as a big play threat. T's one of those guys that has the rare combination of great size, length, catch radius, to go along with really good speed and quick feet. And he's a guy, he's made these plays in practice, and we've tried in some earlier games this year to give him some opportunities, and it just didn't match up just right. The opportunity he got on the inside fade there against South Carolina, we had that designed, hoping they were going to be in man coverage, hoping we were going to have the right matchup, and at that time it worked out exactly for what we designed it for. And then, Kelly and T went out and executed it. But I think T's confidence is continuing to grow, and he's going to be a special player, and I think he'll continue to make plays for us here down the stretch.
Do you see a difference in him even on the practice field, just because after these two big games, we see his confidence just growing? Yeah,
I think so. I think sometimes as coaches, you may have more confidence in a guy than maybe he does, because he doesn't really know what he doesn't know at that point. But, you're kind of, can kind of see some things that are coming. And, and there's several other guys. I think, DeAndre Overton's a guy that continues to play well, and, TJ Chase and Trevion Thompson, those guys, Amari Rogers continue to make plays. But, yeah, I definitely would say over the last 3 or 4 weeks, T's confidence in practice and just his knowledge and, being able to go out and play full speed. The best play that he made all night was on the 3rd and 10 on the touchdown drive, and they were in cover 2, and he had, a great linebacker, number 10, right there on his hip pocket, trying not to let him inside. And T did a great job of staying vertical all the way till he got his depth, and then throwing him by, getting underneath, and the ball's right there. And again, that's something that a junior or senior, receiver, that's really what you kind of expect out of them. So for T to be in that situation for the first time and make that play, was big time for us and much needed on that drive.
Miami, I've noticed in watching a lot of their games, I think of their 28 turnovers, I think 14 or 15 are forced fumbles. And it's, by the way, the hitting and corralling to the ball. How do you simulate that in practice, especially when you guys don't do like that during the week?
Yeah, I think the scout team, they try to rip the ball out, and we will do some good on good. And when we do that, our defense coaches are coaching their guys to try to rip it out. When we're doing our flex, a little unorthodox, we have all the guys with the ball while we're doing flex runs, and the coaches are coming up behind them trying to knock it out, and just anything we can do to kind of simulate that. And then the big thing is to coach off of it and to show it. We'll put the cut up together and show them that these guys are trying to rip it out. South Carolina actually had done a good job going into our game of ripping the ball out, knocking it out, and causing fumbles. And so we made that a big point of emphasis going in. That was a concern going into the game last week, and so it'll be the same thing this week, getting ready for these guys.
What makes Hunter Renfrow so special? Such a good guy. 3rd down and 4, 3rd down and 5. He's about 50 balls, 20 of them come on 3rd.
Yeah, that's a great question. If I knew that, I would be able to go out and find a few more guys just like him. He's definitely special. He's unique. You kind of run out of words to talk about him. That's why I said that touchdown is just going to kind of add to the legend of Hunter Renfrow. And to go along with that, he's probably the most humble player on our entire team. So it makes it a lot of fun to have him in your wide receiver room and around your offense. But, I think his understanding of what defenses are trying to do, and maybe where they're a little bit weak, just like the touchdown catch that he had, being able to slide back inside when the defense played it very well. I mean, they you got to give them credit. They knew what was coming. They checked it off and had a little zone presentation there, and Hunter just kind of one-upped them by stepping back inside, knowing where the opening was. So I think his instincts, his awareness, and then, you know, he's got some God-given ability, being able to change direction like he does, play as low as he does, I think is you know, really rare. And I'm glad we got him on our team.
What's the health of Travis?
I'll let Coach Sweeney answer that. I mean, I think we expect him to be good to go, but I'm sure Coach Sweeney will have some comments on that here later on in the week.
Hunter didn't make it in the All-ACC teams. Just another case of him being overlooked.
I think that's great. It kind of just feeds the fire. You know, Hunter probably doesn't even know that. I didn't know that until you said that. But, you know, that's kind of who he's been his whole career. Is just kind of the guy in the shadows that comes out and makes the plays when you need him. He's not the biggest and most flashiest player, and, you know, he's probably not going to be the first receiver drafted whenever his time comes. But you look up 8 or 10 years from now, he's probably going to be one of the last guys still playing. And that's just who he is. And he really could care less about any of that stuff. But, you know, we like it that he kind of stays under the radar, and, you know, we just pull him out when we need him. And he made that point. He plays well when we're wearing those orange pants when championships are on the line. So I think there's something to be said for that.
Speaking of that play, that he scored that first one, that looked like a crush from the national championship game. It was something a little different. But does that show how Kelly is really getting comfortable with receivers, that it's defended really well, but they both make the same mistake?
Yeah, that's obviously a play that we run a lot in those type of situations, and it's probably the first time in the last 10 times that we've ran it that somebody recognized it and you know, kind of quartered it off right there. But yeah, it was, you know, I think it spoke to two guys have to be on the same page to be able to execute that quickly. There was a linebacker that was trailing right there. That ball would have been thrown any later. It had a chance to get intercepted. So I think, you know, just Kelly's comfort level and his maybe relationship with Hunter, knowing that Hunter would react that way. That's actually happened just like that in practice against our defense in the past. And so that's just two guys being on the same page, making a big play.
Jeff, do you see much difference in Kelly in real time now versus, say, 10 games ago?
No, I mean, to be honest, not really. I mean, I think we were, you know, is he better? I would say yes. But as far as is there a drastic difference? No, and I think really that speaks more to how impressed we were. I mean, a lot of people forget that he went out and made some big plays against Auburn, and that's proved to be one of the best defenses in the country. And without some of the throws that he made in that game and some of the runs that he had in that game, and then also Virginia Tech on the road, you know, Kelly has been, you know, had really good command of our offense from the beginning. Do I think that he's done better and learned? Absolutely. You're always going to learn as it goes, but I don't think there's a drastic difference between, you know, especially who he is. I mean, I think one of his best traits that he has is he has that confidence and just that same demeanor no matter if you're down 2 touchdowns or if you're up 2 touchdowns. He plays very consistent, and that's really one of the top qualities that you look for in a quarterback. You don't want a guy that if he misses a few throws and all of a sudden he goes in the tank, but he's really had that consistent demeanor all year long. I do think that maybe he processes things a little bit quicker just from the speed of the game and being out there and having the experience. But overall, I would say he's just, you know, obviously he's had some throws that he would like to make, and my guys have some things they'd like to do on that end too to kind of help. But overall, you know, I'm very pleased, and I think you put him up against any first-year starting quarterback out there. I think what he's done this year is very impressive. Yeah, I guess it's a good feeling that it doesn't really matter. You know, I can remember how many years ago it was the first time that we got ranked up there, and it was like, wow, this is a really big deal. And we finally are getting back up there, and now it's just kind of become the norm. And that's kind of what we were talking about going into the South Carolina game, playing a top 25 team on the road. that was the message to our guys is, hey, this is just the norm for us. You know, this is not some, I mean, obviously it's a very important game. It means a lot to a lot of people. But this big game, this is, I mean, we play in more big games than quote unquote, you know, not big games. And so I think for our guys, you know, they know that, you know, you got to win this game regardless. So it doesn't matter if you're 1 or 2 or none of that really matters. You got to go take care of business. And Coach Sweeney said from the beginning, you know, the only ranking that really matters, you know, before the final ranking is the one coming up here on Sunday, once all the games have been played and then they set the teams and all that. So, you know, our guys will be excited to see that whenever that comes out. But, you know, whether we're 1 or 2 or, I mean, I just saw, I mean, you see these stats about how many weeks in a row we've been in the top 5 and all that. You look back and go, man, that's pretty impressive, especially maybe where we were a few years ago. But I love that's kind of become the norm, and it's just a quick peek to say, oh, okay, we're number 1 this week instead of number 2. That really is about all the attention that our guys have put in it.
Was there a point during the offseason when you went from wondering how Kelly and this offense would perform in the environments of Louisville, Blacksburg, Raleigh, Columbia to being confident
Yeah.
that he and they would be able to?
I mean, I think it was August. I mean, honestly, I mean, I think we left spring practice, you know, still with questions with all of our guys at the quarterback position of who would be that guy. And, you know, in August it was going to be a good battle, and Kelly really just kind of rose up and, you know, took charge, and then the rest has been history. But I would definitely say, you know, there was definitely, as a coach, you always have those concerns whenever you're replacing guys, just like we had those concerns, you know, with Mylan Richard going in there for Jordan Leggett. He's done a really good job, and Justin Falcinelli going in there for Guillermo, done a really good job, you know. So we definitely had those questions, but, you know, he answered them pretty quick. I'd say after that Auburn game versus that defense, you know, I felt like we kind of knew what we had right there, and he's really done a great job since then.
Jeff, was there a moment, you know, we've all heard the story about Dexter, you know, getting the interception in that spring practice, and how that was Brent's, okay, you know, I don't have to worry about him. Was there an anecdotal moment when you just said, this guy's got it, there's nothing for us to be proud of? Kelly.
With Kelly? You know, I don't think there was that moment in practice. I think it was just really just slowly getting better in his consistency, throwing the ball and making the plays versus our defense in August. But, you know, I would say for me personally, it was the Auburn game. Just a couple of the key, I mean, that was a big time matchup with 2 great defenses, you know, and you know, 2 quarterbacks kind of coming in that everybody, you know, was high on and all those type of things. And for him to be able to go out there and play that game as if he was a 2nd or 3rd year starter, you know, we left, that was kind of the, you know, moment. Very similar to Deshaun Watson versus Georgia, coming in off the sideline in his first drive and firing that ball in there to Sharon Peak versus, you know, this exotic blitz. That was kind of the moment for him. And I think for Kelly, and you know, his performance against Auburn was probably that moment when, okay, you know, he's going to be able to do it, and I think he had confidence in himself before that. But until you go out there and actually do it versus a quality opponent, you know, I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Pretty good.
All right. Good deal.
Thanks, Jeff.